Lost the energy.
No vibration.
That's right. Oh, yeah. So, we just need to tune in. We need to tune in. We need to get in touch with that version of you. Because if consciousness is reality, you've got to move from being conscious of who you are right now, who you say you are right now, to become conscious of who you want to experience yourself as. The only thing that needs to change is your awareness of who it is that you're being. Now, there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Experience yourself as there is a gap. Thank God for that. Can you imagine if everything you thought instantly happened? What kind of a world would we live in? So there's this law. She loves it. There's this law in creation that says you can't have it instantly. You have to have it. You have to have it in your mind a little bit longer than instantly. You have to have that consciousness and hold that in your thoughts, and then things will move into form. Plants will move. People will move. Circumstances will change. People will enter into your field of view. Example: if I stood at the street corner here and I counted, I asked you, "Hey guys, let's go outside and let's count all the cars that drive by that are red." And after a half hour, I asked you, how many cars were red? And you say, oh, there were 300 cars that were red, Mike. 302, actually. Perfect, cool. How many of them were blue? Well, they were there. The red cars, the blue cars, the green cars, the pink cars, the purple cars, they were all there, but where were you seeing? What did you observe? What you were consciously looking for, what you were conscious of. You didn't see what you weren't conscious of. It was there anyway. So the art, the law of attraction is simply tuning the dial and becoming conscious of what it is that you want to see. That's as simple as it gets. So now, when you imagine yourself, we just need to imagine that greater version of you. With such clarity, like the psychics can imagine a plant glowing and the plant glows under observation. Can you not do the same thing? Can you not imagine? In fact, isn't that the only thing you can do? You haven't experienced that other version of you yet. So how are you going to experience it in your consciousness if you haven't experienced it in the flesh? Where does it start? Where does everything start? Where did this hotel start? In somebody's imagination. And that's how powerful you are, is you can imagine a future reality that actually doesn't exist yet. But what I know is it does exist, because all realities coexist in the infinite mind of infinite possibility. They're all there, always. Creation is over. The end was at the beginning. All things that have ever been created and ever will be created have been created. Now it's just a question of, what are you actually observing of creation? What version of you and the planet and everyone are you experiencing in this hologram of infinite possibilities is just simply what you're tuned into. To just learn how to tune in to an ultimate reality. Not the one that you just take for granted because you wake up and that's what you see, and you look around you and others see the same thing and think that's the reality we live in. Oh well. The people who make things happen, they don't live in this world. The people who make things happen don't live in this world. They live in another world. Elon Musk doesn't live in this world. He is living on Mars right now. And he's pretty soon going to be actually physically. Because that's how it works. It starts in the mind, and then it moves into form. By a law that seems to be invisible and unknown to us. There is a mechanism, we know that. We've experienced it, we understand it's there. And this mechanism comes into play only in the time when the intention is set up. So we set up the intention, we learn how to do that, and then the law moves into form, draws to us all the circumstances as we go about our life that make that reality reality. So, Let's just take a look at how things have come to pass thus far. That's you. Let that represent you. We call that the stick person, Bob Proctor's invention of communicating the idea. Let this represent your mind. Your mind has two parts of it. It's not your brain. Your brain is your brain. It's a physical thing. So your brain is in your body, so your body is this here. This is your mind. We're told that the mind is divided into two. The conscious mind, what you know you're thinking, and the unconscious mind, which is really the subconscious mind, what you're feeling about what you're thinking. Where all the things that have been stored for all the years you've been on this planet. And that's where our feelings are. And then there's our body. And how it works is really simple. The energy of all things that is animating you and even giving you the ability to think a thought. In the likeness and image, you think a thought. That comes into your mind. Then you cause your body to react because there's a feeling that's associated with that thought. Your body then expresses just like on the water. There's a mechanism that goes out from you and returns to you by way of a result. Now, let's go ahead and create an idea, a goal. Say a Nikken goal. How about this one? Royal Diamond. Is that a good one? Is that a good idea?
Yes.
So, when Nikken recognizes you as a Royal Diamond, you will have looked back on that experience and said to yourself, man, the journey wasn't easy, but it was fantastic and was worthwhile. Yeah? You'll be able to say that. So it's a worthwhile thing, right? It's a good idea. That's why it's got two positive signs next to it, because it's a really good idea. So we imagine it. And the first thing that I'll give you an example of how this is possible. I want you to look at me for a second and just look right here in front of me. Don't imagine there's a pink elephant. Don't. She's good at this. What did you just see in your mind? You are able to imagine something no human being has actually seen with their eyes. You have the ability to imagine things that have not yet been imagined or seen. If it wasn't for that, there would be no evolution. There wouldn't be forward motion. So you can imagine a version of yourself that you haven't yet experienced in the flesh, but you can experience in the mind. That version of you, that greater version of you. Like being a Royal Diamond. You can imagine it. You've seen a bunch of them. You know what they're like. You know their characteristics and so forth. You can imagine being like that. Having fun, enjoying life, knowing you're making a difference. You can imagine all those things. And then what happens? Well, since we were born, we have these things called senses. Sensory perception. Sight, touch, taste. Give me other ones. Hearing, smell. Those are our five senses. And through our five senses, we observe the nature of this reality, right? We take in information. What do I know about that? What do I know about that? What do I know of that? When you're 2 years old, in that little thing in the back of your car seat, your parents are driving around arguing because they don't have enough money to pay the mortgage. What do you learn about money? Think about all the things before you even knew your name or knew you were you, that you just simply were observing and taking in the thousands of ideas. And some of those ideas came with a heck of a lot of motion. How many of you feared the school principal? Why did you fear them? Why is that the associated emotion? Think about all the things that are sitting there in the warehouse of our belief system that were impressions made on an impressionable mind, stimulated with emotion, that are locked in there, and the second you have a great idea about yourself, boom, they make their appearance. All those ideas that are contradicting that idea, that's a good idea. Or what do you know about people? You think you could be a robot? People don't like you. They don't want to hear what you have to say. You're dumb. You're this. You're that. And all the stuff that's there that seems to be sleeping is not sleeping. It's working overtime. Especially if you introduce a new idea that's a really good idea. Then they really show up in spades, right? And start reminding you of who you really are. This is who you are. And those are just descriptions of one channel. So how do we overcome the inertia? A lot of people take up psychology. They go to people saying, I got problems, I got social issues, I got family issues, I got blah, 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 blah. You could spend a lifetime trying to analyze every one of those things that are in there. Good luck. There's way too many to count. Or you can overcome them. You can overcome them in the blink of an eye. That's how powerful it is. In the blink of an eye, I kid you not. So what we do is, we have this great idea. It's complicated by ideas that are contradictory, that is within our system of feelings and beliefs. So now we send out into the universe this, what we call a double binding message. So we impress upon the water something of confusion. And what does the water reflect? Confusion. Money, recognition, health. Everything that you're seeing in the mirror or describing yourself as is what you have been putting out. Nothing has ever happened to you. Nothing has ever happened to you. It's only ever happened through you. So we've got to shift the dial. Is it easy? Does it take work? Does it take discipline? But that's what has to shift. We have to shift the dial. Now, again, I come back to the idea, thank God it doesn't happen in an instant, because otherwise right now there'd be a raging pink elephant running around this room. So, we have a safety net in this universe, which is called the law of gender. You sow a seed, you reap a harvest. And it's not in the same day. Plant a seed, reap a harvest. And the bigger the project, it might take a little bit more time to manifest that project. But just trust that between here and there's a mechanism that you don't have to be aware of, you just have to know. And trust is there. You just need to know how to apply. So how do we apply? We come back over here, we tune into this frequency, and we live in this frequency as though there is no other frequency. That person's dead. Death, gone. Resurrection, reborn, renewed. This is who I am. That's who I used to be. And even though I'm still walking around carrying a wallet with the same amount of money in it right here, right now, that's not who I am. That's who I've been. And there may be some momentum of that person over the next little while. But who I am is not who I've been. Who I am is who I am. That's the frequency. That's who I'm tuned into. And that will show me the blue cars, not the red cars. But if I turn back, I might turn into a pillar of salt. So do not turn back. Remain vigilant in who you see yourself as, who you know yourself as, and who you allow others to see yourself as. Don't let them remind you. That person's dead. They died. Because I no longer feed that image. So let's talk about that in the practical side. How do I overcome the inertia of the subconscious mind? I can bypass it. I can completely bypass it. Wouldn't you love to shunt the whole system? Bypass all those beliefs that are holding you back from being the best you can be in an instant, in the blink of an eye. Now there's one word that describes this. I asked this on stage 2 days ago and somebody shouted it out. What's the one thing that can help you overcome all things? Faith. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's faith in an invisible God who's like Santa Claus in heaven, handing out cookies to the people who are good. Not after I've shown you what I've shown you. Who's that invisible God handing out cookies? Faith is not faith in a mystery. Faith is not faith in a belief system. Faith is simply knowing and having trust in the law. If I understand gravity and I trust gravity, I can do great things with it. I can harness it. I can create hydroelectric power. But if I don't understand gravity and I step off a 10-story building, does it matter if I'm a good person or a bad person? So, faith is faith and trust in the laws. They are divine, they are universal, and they don't change regardless of what you believe. They're absolute. And to the degree that you are ignorant of those laws, the result is you live an unconscious reality of bumping around into circumstances, blaming the circumstances on forces outside of yourself, feeling powerless, ineffective, and incapable of changing the reality. That is the lie. That's the fiction. That's the unconscious person not aware of who they are and how it works. But if you are aware of who you are and how it works, you just change the station and you stop listening to that noise. And you understand that most of this noise is not even yours. It came from sources outside of you because you let it in. You did not guard the fertile ground. You let those weeds in. I'll tell you one thing. First thing you probably want to do if you want to be successful in life is do not watch television. Except for the... Now, let me rephrase that. There are some good programs out there, but I think you will become very aware of what you allow yourself to be mesmerized by. See, when you're in a state of being mesmerized, what's happening is the conscious mind's turned off and everything just goes straight into the subconscious mind, and you're just letting it happen. And that, by the way, happens every time you drive down a highway. All those billboards. You see, you think you didn't see the blue cars. But if I hypnotized you, I could find out how many blue cars you saw. Because your subconscious mind recorded the entire thing, not just some of it. Your conscious mind recorded the red cars. But the subconscious mind knows how many blue cars, green cars, black cars, etc. So, if we want to overcome the inertia, we have to have faith. So here's how it works. Here's how it shows up. You plant a seed, and you don't dig it up. That's how it works. You plant a seed once. You don't then dig it up to say, is it germinating? Oh, shoot, man, we'll just cover it up again. And tomorrow goes and it's like, I don't see anything. Nothing's happening. So you dig it up again. It's like, is it working? So a little more water. Another day, 2 days, a month. What's going on? I thought I planted the seed. Let me just double check. What's going to happen there? Am I demonstrating faith? Am I demonstrating faith? What am I demonstrating? Doubt. If you had but the faith of a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move, and it will move. What would the faith of a mustard seed be doing? Plant, water, 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 food. How's that? Cool. because that's the law. I don't have to doubt that. That's the nature of reality. Everything that ever was and ever will be is created in that same process. And when I say creation, I say manifestation, because everything that's ever been created has already been created in the mind of God. All we have to do is tune into that channel and experience that reality. Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Can anybody tell me where the kingdom of heaven is? He also told you where that was. How come nobody remembers that part of the message? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. Where is the kingdom of heaven?
In heaven.
Within. Within. That means turn off those five senses of yours that are giving you garbage information. All they're doing is reflecting what is here. Tune that out. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Get inside, get within that imagined possibility, that infinite number of possibilities. That's what heaven is. It's everything. It's all things possible. Tune into that chapter that you want to experience yourself as. Now, live that reality. Now, yeah, you're going to wake up, you're going to have to deal with the same stuff, put your pants on one leg at a time. But just understand who is in those pants. It's this person knowing with certainty that there is a law, invisible to them, but none the same, real, that is allowing the fruits of that to unfold. And trust that process. That's faith. That's faith, because if you have faith in the laws of God, you have essentially faith in a God. Which is faith in who? So, we were given really clear instructions about how this works, by the way. Whatever you ask for and you pray for, ask as though. See, you know the formula. How would you ask for something you've already received? What would be the first words that come out of your mouth? Thank you. See, you understand this implicitly. So, whatever you ask for and you pray for, ask as though you have received it. Well, so I wouldn't be asking from here, would I? That's not having received it. That's who I was. It would be asking for and praying for as though I have already received it. It means I'm already standing in the shoes of this person. And what would be the words out of my mouth?
Thank you.
Thank you, Father. You always hear me. Did you notice that all the miracles were performed first with grace? Gratitude. Often he would step away from the crowd because the crowd was all too busy in this reality. Oh, Lazarus is dead. That sucks. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, that sucks. So what did you stay away from that reality and tune into the real reality, which is the infinite possibility? And in that state of consciousness, Jesus is not Jesus, but man. In that consciousness, he's the truth, the real reality. I and the Father are one. And from that reality, Lazarus, come forth. Get up, walk. Those miracles are the demonstration, otherwise they're pointless, of the truth. Those miracles are for you and me today and 2,000 years from now as a demonstration of the law applied. Not fiction, not fantasy. Reality for all men. Salvation for man comes in understanding the truth. My mentor used to say, what we need saving from is ignorance. So when we operate according to the law, we would ask and pray for that reality as if we already have that reality. That means you have to walk in the streets, talk to your family and friends as if that's the you who you want to experience yourself as from now on. You have to deny that of them. That was you. This is the new you. So you've got to be pretty clear about what that looks like, feels like. Because it's thoughts, feelings expressed in actions. Do you think you would act differently in this posture versus this posture? Do you think your actions would be different? So your actions are augmented by your thoughts and your feelings about your perception of who you are. So yeah, is there actions involved? Is there a mechanism involved? Nobody's denying that there's a mechanism. We're not saying sit at home in your sofa chair or whatever and just imagine that reality is just going to appear in your living room. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying is there's a law. You apply the law, and the law will not fail you, and will not fail you because it hasn't failed you thus far. You have been applying the law unconsciously. Thoughts, feelings, and actions, when applied with the frequency of gratitude. What is that? Tune in to the frequency of God and you will experience that. What is the frequency of God? How would you know? How would you feel if you were tuned in to the Creator? If you were really tuned in? How would you feel? What would be the feeling? Feel. I want a feeling emotion. What's the feeling? Grateful, powerful, overwhelmed, awe, humble. You would feel a sense of awesomeness. I mean, some of them, they would be struck down. It was so awesome that their physical body was just like, it's this awesomeness, right? That's when you're really plugged in. Now, it'd be hard to do that when you're driving on the highway. So I wouldn't suggest you get that far in it. But to some degree, we want to stay tuned in and plugged into that reality, that truth. Because it's in that truth that the power resides. It's in that truth that the manifestation manifests. If you continue to deny that truth, you continue to receive what's happening on that unconscious level, the momentum of that reality. Thoughts, feelings, and actions with very, very clear intention. So it's really important when you do an exercise in humans being more. How many of you got a life cycle plan? I'll tell you something. I have that. If you walked in my house, first thing I do in the morning is I walk into my kitchen and I make an espresso. And right next to the espresso machine is my life cycle plan. You know, if advertising works, if going down the highway and seeing 30,000 signs, talking to my subconscious mind to buy this hamburger or that, whatever, I might as well be advertising to myself. That's what your life cycle plan is. Your life cycle plan is not the future, my friends. If you heard anything I've said, your life cycle plan is the present. When you put a picture of a place that you want to go to, you're already there. You have to understand something. The law is very specific. Whatever you ask for and you pray for, ask as though you have received it, not as though you will receive it. It's not out in the future, always out in front of you. It's in you, it's with you, it's present tense. So, I am in Africa. Now, from here to there, there's a process. Okay, I live on planet Earth. Maybe in the other dimension, I think a thought, and there's my hamburger in my hand, or whatever. But I'm not in that dimension. I'm in this one right now, and in this one, there is this thing called the law of gender. Person becomes pregnant, 9 months later, there's a baby. You doubt in between? No, because you have some physical evidence of it, right? But in the process of creating your life, you don't always get the luxury of being able to see on a daily basis. But if you become observant, you will start to notice change. And it does happen immediately. You'll start meeting people on an elevator and you're going to say, you're never going to believe this. I walked into the elevator. Who said this the other day? Suzanne. You're not going to believe this. I walked into the elevator and I asked, oh, where are you from? They asked me the t-shirt and they're from the same place. Here in San Antonio, they met in the elevator from the same place. So guess what they're going to be talking about? You're going to see things like that. Jump in. Manifest. Recognize them. Do not refer to them as a coincidence. Those are words like luck that we invented to describe the effects of unknown causes, but we know the cause. The cause is the law. That's always the cause. Now you know the law, and you can say, there's no such thing as luck. Don't wish me luck. Just wish me good discipline, because that would be much more important than luck. So, I think I'm pretty close to the last slide or two. This is an important one, because how would I ask for something that I've already received? What would be my state of mind as I described myself to you? I will be. I am. What did you say? Thank you for that. You just gave me the permission that I was asking for. So, there's a chapter in the Bible where we hear Moses appear at the mountain because he hears the rumbling and is curious if Moses is Moses. And regardless of the fact that they try to put the fear of God in him, he says, well, if there's a God, I'm going to meet this God. So he goes up the mountain. And in this chapter, we hear there's a dialogue. He perceives what he perceives, and he's told he has to go and rescue the Israelites. Well, one of the most important things in that dialogue is when he asks God, who shall I say has sent me? What does he hear? I am that I am. Tell them, I am hath sent you. So this is really important. We get in this process an understanding of the name of God. We're just given the name of God from God himself. I am hath sent you. I am is the name. Now, he goes, comes back with all these people, goes up to receive the commandments. Many commandments. Some people refer to them as the 10 suggestions, but I kind of like the 10 commandments. Anyway, in that, we hear reference again to this concept. And we're told that thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. So let me ask you something. If you were to take something in vain, what would that actually mean? Now, I was taught Catholic. That means you swear with God. You say God something, or you use Jesus' name, something like that, right? Now, if we understand the law, that's not relevant to the law. If the law is, whatever you ask for and you pray for, ask as though you have received them and shall receive them, that's the law, then what's being said is it's not in vain when you use the name of the Lord, when you use the name of God. Well, what would that mean? If I knock on the door and the door doesn't open, and I knock again and the door doesn't open, and no matter how long I knock, nobody answers the door, you would say he knocked in vain. But if I knocked on the door and the door opened, I did not knock in vain. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. So I knocked and the door opened. I was not knocking in vain. So if I use the name of the Lord and it's never in vain, I should be careful about how I use it. Right? What's the name of the Lord? I am. Have you ever said that out loud? Yes. Have you ever said that in your mind? Yes. What have you said in the context of that? I am amazing. I am wonderful. I am smart. I'm awesome. I'm the light. I'm kind. I'm compassionate. What do you use the name of the Lord for? To affirm what about yourself? This person? Or this person? Or worse? If it's not in vain, I would be extra careful about how I use it. And I would probably use it for positive. So, when you leave today, when you wake up tomorrow, and every day for the rest of your life, just remind yourself you're being someone. Some version of the infinite possibility limited by what you are allowing yourself to be limited by, what version of you are you being? It's your choice, it's your freedom to do and be whoever you want. That's what your divine birthright is. And while we may be limited to some degree by this thing called physical reality, there's a number of different expressions of that reality concerning your health, concerning your wealth, concerning your ability to make a difference. So rather than be the one that's being small in this incredible possibility called Nikken, why don't you help me and some of the people who helped you this weekend be really big? And be grateful for that. Thankful for the bigness that you are. Thankful for the gifts that you receive and all the information that comes to and through you because you've now opened that new door, that new possibility. How about that? Wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
All right, go forth and multiply.